In LA this week,
this is a much-needed event. So many people who never dreamt that they would be in line for food assistance are finding that they really need it.
Our to-go kits for the Broad Museum is about making sure our collection is accessible to the widest possible audience, and that means families and kids for us as well.
Lupita is well known in the neighborhood and she's very helpful in many ways. She has a lot of food drives, so I come here so often to pick up.
hello everyone, I'm Rasha Goel. Here's what's happening in LA this week. As COVID-19 rages on across the country, there has been limited help offered by the federal government. Nevertheless, some help has arrived by the way of the 2020 CARES Act. The folks over at LA Department of Water and Power zoomed by to give us the scoop on how some families can get help with their utility bills.
The Department of Water and Power is assisting the city with distributing a utility grant for our low-income customers. It's $500, and customers need to apply at the LADWP website. The program is really to assist customers with their utility bills. When they follow through the instructions, they'll see they need to certify that they are a low-income customer according to our guidelines, and that they have been financially impacted by COVID, either from job loss, reduced hours, abundant, increase in cost to medical care, child care, things like that. So when customers go online, www.ladwp.com/utility cares, it's all online, and this is because we have a tight time frame to distribute the money. This is a federal grant that we have to have all the expenditures done by December 30th. So customers have between November 2nd and November 15th to apply online. It's not first come, first serve. We will have a lottery if we have more than 100,000 applications. The application period will close on November 15th. We will give priority to the department's current low-income customers because we know that they've already went through the certification process and have signed up for the program. We are expecting more than 100,000. Customers need to take the time to go online and do the online application and submit their document.
LAX is making a change in the way they process passengers through customs. The new Simplified Arrival system uses biometric facial comparison to get passengers through the process quicker and with less paperwork. Channel 35 was on hand for Border Patrol's latest demonstration.
Simplified Arrival is exactly what the name says. It's a simplified way of processing passengers. Compared to the old system, the passenger would go through different avenues of having to get processed. They would fill out paperwork. They would go into a machine, take a picture, come see an officer. They would answer the same questions over and over and over again. Now that all of that has been condensed into one simple step, which is taking the picture.
El nuevo movimiento es un nuevo sistema que ha sido implementado para hacer el proceso de las personas que llegan entrando a los Estados Unidos.
Entonces, en cuestión de 3 segundos, el oficial de CBP puede determinar la validez de los documentos y la identidad de la persona. De esa manera, el oficial se puede concentrar en hacer las preguntas: cuánto tiempo estuvo fuera de Estados Unidos, tiene algo que declarar, cuántos días se va a quedar.
The new system has reduced the amount of time that the traveler processes through global entry by approximately 90%, from about an average of 45 seconds on the previous system to the current system, which takes about 6 seconds. For travelers, in order to use this booth, they would have to be pre-approved and able to use global entry. It's part of the Trusted Traveler program run by the Department of Homeland Security.
The Central Branch of the Los Angeles Public Library is keeping kids in touch with learning and the arts. They've teamed up with the Broad Museum to bring a hands-on experience to families at home. We were on site for their latest art kit giveaway.
We're going to be giving out free art kits to the kids. And as you can see, they have very nice kits set up. The kids are going to learn how to do a craft, an art piece. So it's a fun activity that they could do with their families. and it will be virtual, so they don't have to go out. And now we're providing all the tools that they need.
Our to-go kits for the Broad Museum is about making sure our collection is accessible to the widest possible audience. And that means families and kids for us as well. And we wanted to make sure that people still have access to work in our collection, are able to make something together with their families. And it's just really important that we're having that out there in the world right now. So many people have been home for so long and wanting something more special for us to do together with them, even though they can't come inside the museum, that they're still able to have that experience at home now that they're going to be there for so long.
The lack of social engagement, something to keep them going and share with others is ultra important.
So pop art's this month's theme for the Broad, and that's a popular art genre for them. Pop art's really fun for kids. It's a good entry point into art. It shows that art is very approachable and you can find it on the street and you can make it yourself, and it can be surprisingly in your kitchen. So they'll be exploring the works of people like Lichtenstein and Andy Warhol.
Es una otra forma de hacer arte, pero el arte les ayuda a los niños a distraerse, también a expresar sus emociones, y ahora con todo lo que está pasando es algo muy importante.
There are dozens of city events that have been shelved due to the current pandemic. Fortunately for Los Angeles, one of the biggest events put on by Council District 1 has been rescued by the internet. Gil Cedillo's 7th annual Latin Jazz and Music Festival is gearing up to be an exciting streaming event, and Channel 35 was there to get a behind-the-scenes look at how the magic happens.
This is my 7th annual Latin Jazz and Music Festival. It's a festival that takes place in the end of summer, fall each year. And this year, obviously with COVID, we wanted to find a way that we could continue it.
I feel that what we're doing right now is to keep up with the tradition now, with the thing, the COVID and all that nobody can go out, everybody has to stay home. This is a great way of keeping that feeling of the festival going, you know what I mean? So I'm really happy to be here.
And that's the challenge that we have right now, is how do we continue traditions and activities, but do so in a way that's safe, that's responsive to the dangers of COVID-19. And so we didn't want to break the tradition. It's a great festival. We'll have 12 to 16 bands sometimes, and people look forward to it.
When you learn to perform jazz in the right way, somehow you reach a level where you could somehow develop a personality with that instrument, and you show a lot of yourself in the way you play.
With everything that's going on during these times, you know, we're trying to adhere to all COVID-19 guidelines, 6 feet distance, obviously social distancing, wearing a mask as much as you possibly can.
El evento es base a la cultura, base a la música, y es importante que la comunidad goce cultura, y el elemento más importante de cultura es música.
The Gil Cedillo Latin Jazz and Music Festival isn't the only fall tradition to find its way online. Later in the program, we'll tell you about another streaming event just for the film buffs, so stick around. In terms of helping Angelenos during these troubled times, nonprofits and neighborhood councils have been doing a great job lending a hand. There are places to go for meals, places to go for groceries, even places to go for COVID testing and flu shots. Well, what if I told you that if you needed your teeth cleaned, there might be a dentist that comes to you? I am loving this. Allow us to introduce SoCal's own orthodontist on the go.
Right in the middle of the COVID pandemic, we would be getting telephone calls from our patients, and they would be concerned about their medical and dental care and their orthodontic care. And the state and the city had asked us to please close our offices for a few weeks. And during that few-week period, While we were getting the calls, the idea came to me. If our offices are closed and we could come up with a convenient and a safe way of servicing patients, that would be a nice solution. And we ended up in a period of about 6 weeks putting together the mobile clinic. Where we're able to do everything that we do in our main office, but in the mobile concierge clinic right now.
I think what's very important about this van is that even if we get a vaccine in the next few months, COVID's still going to be around for the next 1 to 2 years and is going to be a concern for people going into a medical office. Having a service like this that can be sterile, safe, come to you and service your entire family has longevity.
Well, the state are very strict about regulating medical and dental care. And of course, the first thing we did was call them and get their advice and follow very carefully their guidelines. And they were delighted that we had come up with a solution that was safe and that they signed off and endorsed and fully licensed us to do that. Prior to the patient jumping in the van, we completely sterilized the van with this halo fog. It's as sterile as an OR room, where 99.99% of all pathogens are no longer an issue for them.
I think what's excellent about this van is that you can see it and believe it. You don't have to get someone's word for it. The van can come to you, you can have a trusted loved one try it out in front of you, see all the sterilization, and then be reassured to try it yourself.
During the COVID crisis, we are not even charging for the service. We do it as an extension of our office, part of a service to our community of patients.
I think right now, free services for people who are really impacted by the poor economic downturn, this is incredible.
It is really amazing to show up at a person's house and watch the parents and the kids jump into the van, have so much fun. I expect that once the COVID pandemic has gone away, there's going to be a convenience factor and a demand for it irrespective of COVID.
Angelenos get help with parking citations. Measure RR is good news for LAUSD, and masks may soon be mandatory at businesses. These stories up next on CityBeat.
In an effort to help Angelenos with citations, the Los Angeles Department of Transportation has implemented an economic relief measure that will allow motorists an early payment discount. The program title, Early Pay LA, will award a $20 discount for most common parking citations paid within 48 hours and remain in effect until June 30th, 2021. Paying citations in a fast manner has its benefits, and the new Early Bird program is already implementing rewards for citations in residential street sweeping, overnight oversized parking districts, and vehicles displaying recently expired permits within preferential parking districts. For more information on the Citation Relief Program, visit ladot.lacity.org. Great news for the LA Unified School District as voters have approved of Measure RR, which is the $7 billion bond for LAUSD facility improvements. Votes for this measure had to be at the minimum of 55%, since it would raise property taxes and would be taxed at $2.17 per $100,000 of assessed property value. According to the LAUSD, about $3 billion will be to upgrade 70% of facilities in need of repair and to modernize learning environments. The Los Angeles City Council has approved the motion for business owners to be able to refuse services to customers if they don't have a mask on. Proposed in July by Councilmember Herb Wesson, who made clear of the major setbacks regarding COVID-19 during that month. The motion was on an emergency clause, putting it into effect immediately with the approval of Mayor Garcetti, and the effect would be over when the safer-at-home orders are over.
Grand Park in downtown Los Angeles was the home of a seasonal art installation. Dia de los Muertos is the traditional Mexican holiday where friends and family celebrate the lives of lost loved ones. The Grand Park exhibit is one in a series of city public art collaborations. Check out how hauntingly good this is.
We're at Grand Park for Grand Park's Downtown Dia de los Muertos. It's a program that strives to honor, reflect, and celebrate the lives of those who have passed away. In its tradition, it's a day where we pair ourselves and we come back with the dead. And we do that by honoring the lives and creating an altar, like the one that you have right here. And we usually put an item that was very dear to the person who passed away. That can be a drink, a piece of food, a small memento of their relationship to this world, this land.
So we're both dressed as what is known as El Catrín and La Catrina, which are kind of like this dead couple, which is a big representation of the Dia de los Muertos. And we're really dressed up to really embody that, the death that we celebrate. We celebrate in the Mexican culture death as a celebration of life. Rather than grieve it, it's celebrating the people's life.
When we were designing this program this year, we knew that we wanted to keep the tradition of its values, but also we knew that we had to keep the well-being of our community. So we created the first hybrid program, meaning that we have some public art installations in our space, in the physical space, but we also have content online.
Pues nomás quiero decir que gracias a la persona que organizó este evento, aunque estamos pasando por unos tiempos de COVID, mantener la tradición viva.
Igual que sigamos juntos todos como familia, como una comunidad y celebrando nuestras legacías y nuestras tradiciones.
Y para nosotros Día de los Muertos es una tradición que no solo es de honrar y celebrar la vida, sino también celebrar la vida de las personas que seguimos aquí y ver de qué manera tenemos que seguir preservando nuestra cultura y también nuestras tradiciones.
To honor these traditions is to honor our loved ones, and that is the way they stay with us forever.
It's all about helping others. It's time to give a tip of the hat to some awesome community members. Neighborhoods all over SoCal have rallied around those in need, determined to get through these hard times together. LAPD joins forces with First AME Church in West Adams for a grocery giveaway, and Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell helps pass out much-needed supplies at an event at Lupita's Corner Market.
It's a food giveaway. We got 1,200 boxes of food, 32 pounds worth of food per box. Working with our clergy, Southwest Station clergy, I'm the captain at Southwest Station, as well as First AME Church and Church of Latter-day Saints. There was a need identified because of COVID. So a lot of people, no matter who you are, where you're from, some people are just going through some tough times.
We have partnered up with Los Angeles Police Department and the First AME Church now on many events, and we were able to acquire this food from the government to distribute to families in need.
This is a much-needed event to get food into the hands of people who need it. And because of our economy right now, because of the pandemic, so many people who never dreamt that they would be in line for food assistance are finding that they really need it for themselves and for their families.
La comida es donada por quién? ¿Quién está donando la comida?
USDA ha donado la comida y hemos todos trabajado juntos para poder traerlo aquí.
I'm pretty sure that through God we shall be supplied and make it in life.
La comida pues ayuda mucho porque no tenemos trabajo ahorita, estamos descansando, nos beneficia para nuestra familia.
Put a mask on. Get in your car, get on the bus, get in the Uber, get in the Lyft, and come get what God has blessed us with.
We chose Lupita's Corner Market for our food giveaway because this is a neighborhood that is really struggling due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We have a lot of people here whose employment has been affected. So we got volunteers to donate some pumpkins for the children, some candy for the children. The Westlake North Neighborhood Council donated some sanitary packets for the women and ladies, and we got the Power of One came in and they donated grocery packets for the community.
Lupita's Market is really ground zero for this community and a real community resource, and so we're all partnering together to make this happen.
I am here to give my my kids a good Halloween, although we can't go trick-or-treating, so this is very helpful.
The hygiene products, the pads, tampons, and panty liners are very expensive, but as you can see at our table, things are going by very, very quickly, and we don't have enough to give to the public.
Pues ahorita muy difícil, lamentablemente difícil. Más principalmente por los niños, por la escuela, que es muy difícil para todos los papás.
Distributing food and making sure that people aren't food insecure during COVID is growing in importance. So events like this are critical all over the city. Support your local markets. It helps neighborhoods.
The American Film Institute has long held two important stations in the film community at large. As a conservatory, the Institute is responsible for turning out gifted filmmakers like Terrence Malick, Patty Jenkins, and Julie Dash. More broadly, it may be known for its top 100 lists. And since 1987, the AFI Fest has made a name for itself as one of the world's premier international film festivals. Now that the festival has landed online, festival organizers have worked hard to reinvent the prestigious film event for streaming.
AFI Fest 2020 was an 8-day festival that recently ended. We had about 125 films from around the world, and it was a virtual festival in this year of doing things differently. We were online and had a lot of people watching movies over the 8 days. When the lockdown began in March of this year, we were preparing for our documentary festival in June, and we had to quickly shift and figure out what we were going to be doing. There was, that was early on, some weeks of uncertainty. Will this be a short thing? How long is this the shutdown going to be? How long is the virus going to be with us? How long will theaters be closed? And after a few weeks of looking at different scenarios, we realized we really needed to plan for a virtual festival. The good thing about kind of this situation this year is that we're all in the same boat. We're all trying to figure it out, whether you're a film festival or a filmmaker, distributor, studio, and we were helping, the filmmakers to figure out, let them know what this is, how it works. They had to make their own decision about, do I want my film to screen in this way, or do I hold it for who knows how long when we can get back into movie theaters. I think the next year or two are going to be, I think, challenging, but also very, very interesting. These big kind of life-changing things that happen in the world, like a pandemic. It's really, it's very challenging. We've had to pivot, we've had to change how we do our film festival, but it also, there are opportunities. I think one thing we've learned doing 2 virtual film festivals now is that virtual increases the access to the festival, both in terms of viewers and also in terms of the films we're showing. Our virtual festivals have been and were the most diverse festivals we've ever presented. And I think the virtual aspect was part of that.
The Dalai Lama said, when you talk, you're only repeating what you know, but when you listen, you may learn something new. I am so delighted to be joined today by someone who not only listens, but I get to listen to as well, Georgia Leap. I mentioned that you're an expert on gangs, and as a sociologist, you actually have a history in an area that you went back to research and study.
My roots are very much in the Watts-Westmont area, as are my families. My mother and father were both raised in South Los Angeles.
The word gang has a negative connotation in terms of how we interpret crime, et cetera, but is it really, I mean, is that a fair Definition?
If you talk to a police officer, they say it's 3 or more people conspiring to commit crime, part of a criminal enterprise. When I talk about gangs, I think I have a much looser definition. And I would say it's a group of people with shared ages and interests who often, not always, participate in activities that may be illegal. When you go into Watts in South LA, people still think back to the 80s and 90s, and they are afraid of that even starting again. And I would say the same problems that gave rise to gang violence in that era, yes, is now giving rise to homelessness. It has mushroomed now in a way I don't think any of us would have wanted to imagine or wanted to believe in our city. I feel optimistic, and I feel if we can get through the pandemic, we are at a point where we understand the need for certain things, the need for major changes in racial justice, major changes in education, major changes in public safety. We have that great promise now. The challenge is, will we fulfill it?
Try out an online Korean cooking class, compliments of the public library. Log on for the world's largest free LGBTQ youth conference, or check out readings of the new works from the Latino Theater Company. It's all up next on Virtual Things to Do.
The LA Public Library wants you to check out their Culinary Historians of Southern California series. Join Ha Jung Cho, chef and culinary historian, as she discusses and demonstrates making kimchi, the national food of Korea. Eaten for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, kimchi is spicy, tangy, crunchy, and filled with umami. Ha Jung will discuss the history of kimchi, the science of fermentation, and the many kimchi mysteries will be explained. Don't miss the free online workshop, Kimjang Kimchi, a Korean tradition, happening Saturday, November 14th, beginning at 10:30 a.m. To register, look for their listing on Eventbrite. The world's largest free conference for LGBTQ youth and their allies goes virtual. Models of Pride 28 Fierce, Fabulous, Free will offer 2 days with life-enriching workshops, entertainment, resources, and more to help attendees build confidence and self-esteem and develop valuable life skills. This year's opening session, hosted by award-winning YouTube personality Mac Does It, will include appearances by America's Got Talent semifinalist Selena Graves, actress Blossom C. Brown, and Pulse nightclub survivor and activist Brandon Wolf. Parents, caregivers, educators, and other youth-serving professionals will find free online workshops tailored to their roles and interests to better serve LGBTQ youth. Models of Pride 28, Fierce, Fabulous, Free will be streamed live globally over the course of 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, November 14th and 15th. To get in on the Fierce event, visit modelsofpride.org. The Latino Theater Company presents Unmasking New Works 2020, an online reading festival. Online readings of 8 new plays by Los Angeles-based playwrights. Plays are selected to reflect the full range of diverse communities and life in Los Angeles, the larger Southwest, and that resonates with the urgency of our times. A new play will be presented each week. Each play will be available for viewing for 10 days. Unmasking New Works 2020 is happening now and every Thursday through November 27th. For more information on this unique online reading festival, visit the latc.org. And that's a look at some virtual things to do.
That's it for this edition. I'm Rasha Goel. From all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. And a reminder that you can catch us online at lacitybview.org. And don't forget, we're also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. See you next time for more LA This Week.